Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. Today, the movie I'm reviewing is The Old Man and the Gun. This movie is rated PG-13. It's an hour and 33 minutes, and the score I gave it is a B+. Mostly based on a true story about Forrest Tucker, this understated movie was written and directed by David Lowery. Robert Redford plays a 70-year-old man who escaped from San Quentin prison and began robbing banks in his old age. Robert Redford's actually 82 years old in real life, and what an amazing career he's had. He announced, sadly, that this is his last movie, and I sure hope not. He's always said, never say never, so I'm hoping at least he would do a cameo or, I don't know, just do another movie. I know, he could totally retire. But he is amazing, and it'd be nice to see him some more. Now, The Old Man and the Gun was originally a series of short crime stories written by David Gran. So this film is an easy-flowing story where we get to watch Robert Redford's effortless charm and legendary smile, and the lovely Sissy Spacek compliments him really well. So a few quick tips for parents, and then I'll tell you a few more things for everybody else. So as charming as the old men are in this story, you have to remind your kids that they are criminals and that robbing banks is bad, because you kind of want them to be successful at robbing these banks. And you're like, what am I thinking? They're criminals. But kids mostly will be bored. It's one of the adult character type of movies that kids will just go snore. They're going to want to see lots of action robbing banks, and there's a little bit, but not a whole lot. There is some profanity, but otherwise it's very sweet, this crime story. Some themes are certainly mortality and the reflection on one's life, persistence, and wow, this criminal, like I said, it's a true story. This guy just was very persistent, and he did what he loved, which was robbing banks, and he was really good at it. Well, not entirely good, because he did get arrested and thrown back in jail a few times, actually several times. And in fact, there's a part of the movie where it shows you the sequence of his life, I think, where 16 times he broke out of various prisons and youth detention centers and things like that. And it shows you how he did it. I mean, really quickly. It's just this long sequence, and it's hilarious. It's kind of a montage, really, of how clever he was and lucky in some cases. And you even get to see a split second, well, more than a split, but just a little tiny bit of Robert Redford when he was young. And just to remind you of how handsome and awesome he was and what a great career he has had. Sissy Spacek, her character in the role of persistence, she says, I think you got to keep on keeping on, just living your life, trying new things. You just got to keep on pushing. And that's kind of the theme of the movie, really, is just keep going, or just keep swimming, right? As Dory says in Finding Nemo. And then also another theme is old habits die hard, and some people never change. What do you think? Do you think people can change? Here's this lifetime career criminal, and he just keeps getting tossed back into the slammer and then breaks out again and again and again. And it just makes you kind of wonder, right? I don't know. This is not a whole monologue about rehabilitation of the prison system or anything like that, but I would love to hear your comments. Some things that I liked is that there's a sequence that showed Forrest Tucker breaking out of jail 16 times, and you just get to learn a little bit about creativity, I guess. And it's easy to see the comparison between Forrest's love of his chosen craft, robbing banks, and Robert Redford's love of his craft, which is movie making. And you can see that love on Robert Redford's face. There's not like, he's not phoning it in or anything. You can tell he loves this process. And that's why it's so devastating for him to tell us that he thinks this is the last one, because we love watching him. The screen just lights up every time Robert Redford smiles. And it's a very simple story without a lot of fanfare and zero special effects, really. It's kind of a breath of fresh air, especially when you contrast it to the superheroes and all of the CGI that we see in movies nowadays. It's just a simple story, and that's kind of where Robert Redford shines, right? Casey Affleck did a really great job too, and I'm so happy to see him have such a successful career. It's always fun to see Danny Glover, even though he wasn't on the screen very much. And the thrill of the chase was experienced by both Forrest Tucker and John Hunt, the two characters played by Casey Affleck and Robert Redford. And the lighthearted relationship between those two kind of reminded me of the cat and mouse relationship in the movie Catch Me If You Can. Loved that movie. And in fact, my husband was flying on an airplane once, and the flight attendant was bored, I guess, and came over and they started chit-chatting. And she said that she actually knew some of the other flight attendants who dated the guy in the story, and the true story of Catch Me If You Can, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Anyway, I thought that was amazing because I know it's based on a true story, but then to hear a real person who knew the characters involved was kind of fun. Anyway, there's also a nice musical score by Daniel Hart that just kind of flows throughout the movie. Again, the whole movie is just very easy, flowing type of feel to it. Now, on the downside, some things that I didn't like are that some viewers will want something more to happen. You know, like I said, the kids are going to want action. There's a little bit, but these are old people. They're moving pretty slowly. And even as he's in the middle of a heist, you know, he smiles and he's just kind of laid back about it. So because of that, the whole movie is a little slow moving. Some characters that have one scene just kind of disappear in the story. And I know that happens in every movie, but some characters that, I don't know, that I guess I thought they were going to be more important that sort of disappeared. Or maybe I was intrigued by some characters and wanted to see more about them, but then they don't become a part of the rest of the story. There's only a little bit of humor. It's very subtle and very gentle. It's none of the slapstick, laugh out loud type of stuff, but it's there. But I always appreciate a little bit more humor. Even in dramas, I appreciate a good wink to the eye. There are some funny lines. For example, there's a cop that says, "You did what he said because he said he had a gun." He's interviewing somebody who, you know, the bank manager that got held up, and he's like, "Yeah, and also he was a gentleman." And that's kind of the gag, is that Robert Redford is just such a gentleman when he holds up these banks, you know, or demands money or whatever. And then Jewel, his love interest, says, "Got any kids?" And he said, "I hope not." And of course, that's all for a laugh. And I'm just always like, that's so stupid. Like, if you have children, you should know about it. Man up. Don't be a deadbeat father. I mean, I guess I put it under funny lines, but it sometimes makes me mad because I know there are men out there like that. I've had people say that to me, and I'm just like, that's not funny. But some interesting lines too, or Jewel says, "10-year-old you may have hopes and dreams, but he doesn't understand time or the world like you do." And I think that that's really true and wise and pretty deep, actually. You know, when you're young, you think anything is possible. And I know anything is possible when you're old. But for example, my husband always says, well, anything is possible, but he's probably not going to be hired as an NBA basketball player at this point, right? So there's realistic expectations. And that's kind of what she's saying, too. Casey Affleck's character says, in talking about, you know, he's trying to find Robert Redford and his partners. They're robbing all these banks, and he says, somebody says to him, "Oh, they got away with it." And he says, "No, they haven't got away with it. They just haven't been caught yet." And then there's another cop who quotes what Forrest said to him many years ago after being caught is, "I'm not talking about making a living. I'm talking about living." And that's what the whole movie is all about, is finding what you love, unless it's illegal, and doing that. And, you know, so many of us work for a living, and we really should be living. Or did I say that backwards? Living to work, working to live. You know, finding what brings you joy, that spark of joy. I've been watching the tidying up episodes on Netflix, where this adorable Asian woman, and I can't remember her name, Marie, I forget her last name, but anyway, she's adorable. She's teaching Americans basically how to tidy up, how to get organized. And as they go through all of their items in the house, I know this is a tangent, but she tells them, pick up each item and ask, does it spark joy in your life? And I love that. And you can see the light just goes on in all of these people's faces. They're like, wow, I never thought about that. And I'm trying to do that more in my life, to surround myself with things that spark joy, to live. And that's kind of the message of this movie too, is to just do what you love. Again, unless it's illegal, then find something else. Find another way to use your talents. But anyway, a couple of movies that you'll really like if you haven't seen them. If you're younger maybe and don't know about these movies, some of my all-time favorite Robert Redford movies are Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, of course. And I remember I was a really little kid when I saw the movie The Sting. And I'm surprised it hasn't been remade, or if it has, I don't know about it. But I remember as a kid just thinking, wow, this is an amazing movie. How did they make this amazing movie? And kind of falling in love with movies and loving the idea that they led the audience along. You know, sometimes you felt like you were in on the joke, and then in the end you're like, what? I didn't know that was going to happen. Maybe it was because I was a little kid. Maybe I should see that movie again. But it's a really great Robert Redford movie. I loved it. So check that one out. And also check out moviereviewmom.com, where I write up all of my movie reviews with more detail, and also have contests where you can win prizes. And I'll also send you a free report on how to watch movies for free. Sign up for my newsletter and subscribe to Movie Review channel, Movie Review Mom channel. Ring that bell so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. And have a great time at the movies. Bye for now.